The morning air carried a cool, gentle breeze as the old veteran slowly walked toward the training field. His steps were calm, steady, and quiet, almost as if he had walked this path 1,000 times before. The sun was still low in the sky, casting long shadows across the ground. Birds chirped in the distance, and the soft sounds of early drills echoed through the camp. But the veteran did not rush. He simply moved forward with a silent strength that came from years of experience. Years of memories some he wanted to remember, and some he wished he could forget. He wore a simple jacket, faded jeans, and old boots that had traveled across more places than the young soldiers around him could imagine. His hair was white, and his face showed lines of age, but there was something sharp inside his eyes, something that never grew old. Many soldiers walked past him without noticing. To them, he was just another elderly man. But anyone who truly looked into his eyes would know he carried stories heavy enough to bend steel. The camp was busy today. Cadets rushed from one place to another, trying to complete their morning tasks. The veteran stood near the memorial wall at the edge of the field, his hand resting gently on one of the engraved names. He did not say anything. He only closed his eyes for a moment, remembering. At that same moment, 3 young cadets approached the field from the opposite side. They were loud, energetic, and full of confidence. Their uniforms were crisp, their boots clean, and their spirits high. They pushed each other jokingly, laughed loudly, and acted like the whole world belonged to them. They were proud, maybe too proud. The tallest one, Cadet Ryan, looked around and spotted the old man near the wall. He nudged the others and said with a grin, "Hey, look. Who's this? Another visitor trying to look tough?" The second one, Cadet Miller, chuckled. "Probably some old guy who wants to tell us stories about the good old days." The third one, Cadet Lewis, smirked and added, "Look at him. He probably can't even lift a rifle now." They laughed quietly among themselves, not realizing how sharp a veteran's ears truly were. But the old man didn't turn. He didn't react. He kept his hand on the wall, tracing the letters of a name he knew too well. Ryan whispered again, "Come on, let's go talk to him. This might be fun." The 3 cadets approached him with casual, careless steps. Their boots hit the ground with quick, youthful energy. The veteran heard them long before they reached him, but he still didn't turn around. Something inside him told him to stay calm. He had faced worse than curious cadets. Finally, Ryan spoke. Sir, can you hear us?" The old man opened his eyes slowly. He took a breath, steady and deep. Then he turned to face them. His eyes met theirs, cold, quiet, and strong. The cadets were taken aback for a moment, not expecting such intensity from someone who looked so old. But their pride didn't let them step back. Miller tilted his head. "Are you visiting someone here?" The old man nodded slowly. "Yes." Lewis stepped forward slightly. "Were you a soldier?" His voice carried a little doubt, as if the answer didn't matter. The old man looked at them for a moment, studying them as if weighing their intentions. Then he spoke softly. "Yes, a long time ago." Ryan smirked. "Oh, what was your call sign, old man?" The question dropped into the air like a stone, hard, sharp, unexpected. The veteran blinked once, very slowly. He didn't answer. Instead, he turned back to the wall for a moment and ran his fingers across another name one that left a deep ache in his chest. The silence made the cadets curious. They exchanged glances. Miller laughed lightly. "Come on, sir. Don't be shy." "What was it? Something cool? Something scary?" Lewis added, "Yeah, give us something interesting. We could use a good story today." The old man finally turned around again. He looked at them with an expression that was calm but unreadable. His eyes were not angry, but there was something heavy in them, something the cadets were too young to understand. He spoke quietly. "Why do you want to know?" Ryan shrugged. "Just curious. Everyone in the service has a call sign. It's not a big deal." The veteran nodded slightly. "It is a big deal. Bigger than you think." The cadets laughed again, not understanding the weight behind his words. Miller said, "Well, we want to hear it. What was your call sign?" For a moment, the old man didn't move. He simply breathed in and breathed out. The wind blew softly behind him, and the flag nearby fluttered gently. The world seemed unusually calm. He looked at the cadets, 3 young men who thought life was simple, who thought war was a game, who thought age meant weakness. He spoke softly, barely above a whisper. My call sign is something I earned, not something I chose. The cadets leaned in, waiting. The old man's voice grew only slightly stronger. And I earned it on a night when I was not sure if anyone would survive to see another sunrise. The cadet's smiles faded just a little. He looked at them, his eyes piercing deep. Before I tell you, let me tell you how that night began. The cadets didn't laugh now. They didn't smile. They didn't joke. They just waited, and for the first time since they arrived. The old man knew he had their full attention. A soft tension filled the air. Something was changing slowly. But surely, the story was about to start, and they were not ready for what they were going to hear next. The old veteran stood quietly, his hands resting behind his back as the 3 cadets waited for him to continue. The training field around them grew busier, but somehow, the space near the memorial wall felt still, almost frozen in time. The cadets didn't joke now. They didn't smirk. Something about the veteran's tone, or maybe his eyes, told them that this story was different, something real, something heavy. Cadet Lewis shifted his weight and cleared his throat. Sir, what happened that night? The veteran didn't answer right away. Instead, he looked up at the sky, watching a group of birds fly in a slow, wide curve. The breeze brushed against his face gently. He took his time before speaking again, and when he did, his voice carried both calmness and weight. It started like any normal day, he said softly. No warnings, no signs, nothing strange. But the truth is, the most dangerous nights always start quietly. The cadets leaned in slightly, curiosity growing stronger. They had heard stories in training, but those stories were always told by instructors who had never been in the real fire. This was different. This man wasn't reading from a book. He was remembering. I was part of a special unit, the veteran continued. We were trained for missions that others couldn't handle. Hard missions. Silent missions. The type that don't make the news. Ryan swallowed hard. Special unit. Like recon? The old man nodded. Something like that. Only darker. His eyes drifted back to the memorial wall. His fingers brushed across the engraved names as if they were fragile. That evening, he said, my team and I were preparing to move out. It was supposed to be simple, quick in, quick out. We had done it many times. We trusted each other. We believed everything would go as planned. He paused again, letting the moment stretch. The cadets waited quietly, sensing that he was choosing his words carefully. But plans don't survive the battlefield, he said. Miller frowned. What do you mean, sir? The veteran slowly turned to him. It means things go wrong. It means the enemy does something you don't expect. It means you have to make choices in seconds that others may never understand. The wind grew slightly stronger, rustling the leaves of a nearby tree. The cadets watched him closely, their earlier laughter completely forgotten. We moved through the forest that night, the old man continued. The moon was hidden behind clouds, and the air smelled like smoke from far away. My team walked quietly, step by step, communicating only with hand signals. We trusted the darkness. We trusted each other. And we trusted our training. His eyes softened, as if he could see the faces of his teammates in front of him. There were 6 of us, he said. 6 men, each one brave, each one skilled, each one ready to give everything. Lewis asked quietly, what was the mission? The veteran hesitated for a long moment before answering. We were sent to extract a trapped squad. They were surrounded by enemy forces deep inside hostile territory. The radio signals were weak, fading. They were running out of time. The cadets felt the tension building. We thought we had the element of surprise, the old man continued. We thought we were the hunters. His voice lowered. We were wrong. The silence around them grew heavier. Even the sounds of the training field felt distant now. When we reached the halfway point, the veteran said we heard gunfire in the distance, sharp, fast, Too many shots. The trap squad was under attack. We picked up our pace. We ran. We picked up our pace. We ran. Ryan leaned forward a little. Did you make it to them? The old man nodded slowly. Yes, but not the way we planned. His jaw tightened, his breath slow and steady. When we arrived, the enemy had already formed a circle around the squad, he said. The trapped soldiers were hiding behind broken walls, firing back with whatever ammunition they had left. Miller frowned. So you engaged? We had no choice, the veteran replied. We opened fire immediately. The night exploded with bullets, smoke, and shouting. We split into 2 groups. 3 of us went left. 3 went right. The battle became a storm. The cadets remained silent, imagining the chaos, the darkness, the fear. I saw one of the enemy soldiers climb onto a rock with a launcher, the veteran said. If he fired, the trap squad would be gone. I didn't think. I just moved, Ryan whispered. What did you do? I sprinted through open fire, the old man answered. Bullets passed by my ears. Dirt flew at my feet. I reached him before he could fire. Lewis's eyes widened. Sir? That's insane. The veteran's expression didn't change. It was necessary. He looked at the ground briefly, as if acknowledging a shadow from the past. But in that same moment, he said, something else happened. Something none of us expected. The cadets leaned in again. Even more focused, we realized, the old man said softly, that we were surrounded too. Their eyes widened. We were supposed to be rescuers, he said. But suddenly, we were trapped like the squad we came to save. Miller felt his heart drop. Then, what did you do? The veteran lifted his head slowly, his eyes meeting theirs one by one. We did the only thing we could, he said quietly. We fought. We fought with everything we had. And for the first time that night, I understood why my teammates gave me the call sign they did. The cadets stared at him, breath held. Ryan whispered, Sir. What was it? The old man didn't answer. Instead, he looked back at the memorial wall, touching a name with quiet sorrow. I will tell you, he said softly. But not yet, he turned back to them. To understand the call sign, you need to hear what happened after we were surrounded. The air felt tight. The cadets couldn't look away. The story was only beginning. The old veteran stood still, his eyes fixed on the engraved names on the memorial wall. The 3 cadets around him waited silently, their earlier excitement replaced by a heavy curiosity. They didn't dare interrupt. They could feel that the next part of the story would be darker, heavier, and filled with danger. The veteran finally breathed in slowly and began again. When we realized we were surrounded, he said the night changed. The air changed. Every sound felt sharper. Every shadow looked dangerous. Our hearts beat harder, but we kept our positions. We were trained for this. But even training only prepares you so much. He paused and glanced at the cadets. You boys think being surrounded means fear. But in war, being surrounded means making a choice. You either break, or you become someone you never expected to be. The cadets swallowed hard. The veteran continued, his voice low and steady. The enemy closed in from all sides. Their movements were fast, quiet, and planned. They knew the forest well. They used the trees, the rocks, and the thick night to hide. But we didn't hide. We took positions and fought. His hand slowly tightened behind his back. My team leader, Captain Hale, whispered into our coms, "Hold your ground, no matter what." His voice was calm, but I knew he was worried. We all were. Cadet Lewis leaned slightly forward. "Sir, how many were there?" The old man closed his eyes for a moment, remembering. "Too many," he said softly. "Maybe 30. Maybe more." They were well armed and confident. They thought they had already won. Ryan shook his head slowly. "And there were only 6 of you?" "Yes," the veteran said. 6 against an army. But sometimes the number doesn't matter. What matters is the will to survive," continued. The enemy opened fire. Bullets ripped through the air. Trees splintered. Dirt exploded around us. My teammate Brooks was hit in the shoulder. Another shot grazed my helmet, but we didn't stop. We fired back with everything we had. The cadets listened closely, imagining the dark forest lit by gunfire, the chaos, the fear. The trap squad we came to rescue, the old man went on, was running out of ammunition. Their voices over the radio were shaky. One of them kept saying, "We won't hold much longer." We had to reach them. But the enemy kept pushing us back. He looked at the cadets with sharp eyes. This was the moment, he said, when I understood why that night was different. Why it would change all of us. Miller crossed his arms tightly, feeling a strange chill. The veteran continued. We crawled through the mud, hiding behind fallen logs. We used the darkness to our advantage. Each shot had to count. Each step could be the last. His voice sharpened. I remember hearing Captain Hale whisper, "If we don't push through now, no one gets out." He was right. The wind blew softly across the training field, but the cadets barely noticed. We formed a line and moved forward together, the veteran said. Slowly, carefully, every few seconds, someone fired at us from the trees. We fired back. The forest echoed with gunfire. Smoke filled the air. The smell of dirt, sweat, and metal surrounded us. He paused again, letting the tension settle. Then, he said quietly, the worst moment came. All three cadets straightened. Waiting. We heard movement behind us, the old man said. Heavy footsteps. Leaves crushing. Branches snapping. They were closing in from the rear, Lewis whispered. They flanked you? Yes, the veteran replied, and we didn't see them coming. He took a slow breath. One of my teammates, Sierra, shouted, behind us. But he didn't finish his warning. A burst of gunfire cut him down before he could complete the sentence. The cadets gasped softly. The veteran's face tightened with old pain. Sierra fell hard, he said. The ground shook. I saw him reach for his weapon with trembling fingers, but he couldn't grab it. We wanted to pull him back, but there was too much fire. Too much danger, Ryan whispered. Sir, did he survive? The old man didn't answer immediately. He stared at the wall, touching a name slowly with his fingertips. No, he said quietly. He didn't. The cadets lowered their heads in silence. The veteran continued talking, his voice carrying a heavy sorrow. Captain Hale shouted again, "We move now, or we die here." That woke us up. We couldn't stay. The enemy was closing in too fast. We needed to regroup with the trapped squad before it was too late. He straightened his back slightly, so we pushed forward. Hard. Faster than we ever had before. Bullets hit trees inches away from us. Sparks flew. Dirt burst around our boots. But we kept moving. Suddenly, his tone shifted slower, darker. As we advanced, something strange happened. The cadets looked up, tense. The enemy stopped firing, the veteran said. All at once. Silence filled the forest. Too much silence. Lewis frowned. What does that mean? The old man looked straight at him. It means danger. It means a trap. The cadets froze. We reached a clearing, the veteran said. A small open area with broken rocks and tall grass. It should have been empty, but it wasn't. He leaned slightly closer, without moving his feet, lowering his voice. In that clearing, the enemy waited. Ryan's eyes widened. An ambush? The veteran nodded slowly. Yes. A perfect ambush, he continued, tension rising in his tone. They had us surrounded again, even tighter this time. We could see shadows moving behind trees, rifle barrels pointing at us. We were outnumbered, outmatched, and almost out of ammunition. The cadets held their breath. My heart was pounding, the old man said, but I didn't show it. Captain Hale didn't either. He whispered, "Stay calm. Wait for my signal," and we waited. Seconds felt like hours. The veteran pointed a finger at the ground, as if marking a spot from long ago. Then he said, "I saw someone. A figure moving fast among the trees, coming straight toward us." Lewis whispered, "Who?" The old man answered slowly, each word filled with suspense. "Someone I didn't expect. someone who changed the entire night. The tension tightened like a rope around the cadets' chests. Ryan asked softly, "Sir, who was it?" The veteran stepped closer to the memorial wall and placed his hand on a name again. "That," he said quietly, "is the part of the story that explains my call sign." He turned back to the cadets, eyes sharp with old fire. "And to understand that person, you must hear what happened next." The cadets felt their hearts racing. Suspense hung in the air like a storm waiting to break. Suspense hung in the air like a storm waiting to break. The story was far from over. The veteran kept his hand on the memorial wall, his fingers touching the carved name with slow care. The three cadets stood silently behind him, their eyes fixed on him, waiting. The air around them felt heavy, almost sacred. The veteran took a deep breath and finally continued the story. "In that moment," said, "when we were surrounded in the clearing, everything felt lost. The enemy had us from every direction. We had little ammo left. The trapped squad was bleeding, desperate. And my team. They were tired, wounded, and scared. But we did not stop." He paused, his voice calm but filled with memory. "Then we saw someone running through the trees. At first I thought it was another enemy soldier. But as the figure came closer, I realized it was someone from our trapped squad, a soldier named Carter. He had broken through enemy lines by himself to warn us." Cadet Ryan whispered. "Warn you about what?" The veteran looked at him. "A wave of reinforcements. Dozens more enemy soldiers were coming. If we didn't move that moment, we would all die there." The cadet's eyes widened. "Captain Hale gave the order," the old man continued. "Break the circle. Push through the weakest side." And he pointed to a narrow gap between two large rocks. "The only way out?" Miller asked. "So you rushed it?" The veteran nodded. "Yes, but someone had to hold the enemy back while the others escaped." The cadets froze. Lewis whispered, "Sir, was it you?" The old man didn't smile. He didn't answer with pride. He simply said it had to be someone. He turned away from the wall and looked at the cadets directly. "I stepped forward," he said. "Hale tried to stop me, but I had already made my choice. Someone had to stay behind and buy time. Someone had to draw fire away from the others." The cadets listened without blinking. "I ran toward the enemy," the veteran said. "I fired every bullet I had left. I shouted. I made noise. I became the storm they feared. The enemy thought I was leading a full attack, but it was only me." The cadet's mouth slowly opened in disbelief. "I moved through smoke and darkness," the old man said. "I did not think about fear. I only thought about my team, my brothers. I could not let them die." Paused, eyes distant. "When my ammo finished, I picked up another weapon. When that emptied, I kept moving, kept shouting, kept fighting. I wanted them to believe I was more than one man." Lewis breathed out slowly. "And did it work?" "Yes," the veteran said softly. "My team escaped. The trapped squad escaped. They lived because I made the enemy believe a small army was coming." The cadets said nothing. They couldn't. The old man turned back to the memorial wall and touched the same name again that night. "My team gave me my call sign." Ryan swallowed hard. "What was it, sir?" The veteran looked at them with calm, steady eyes. "They called me Shadow, because in the darkest moment, I moved like something the enemy couldn't see, couldn't understand, and couldn't stop." The cadets went silent. The word carried weight more than they expected. The veteran lowered his head slightly. "But I did not escape unharmed. I fell unconscious. My team came back for me at sunrise. I woke up in a field hospital. I was alive, Sierra. Captain Hale, Carter, and others didn't make it. Their names are here." He touched the wall again. The cadet's eyes softened with respect. The old man stepped back from the wall and nodded to them. "Now you know why a call sign is not a joke." The cadets stood straight, their voices quiet but firm. "Shadow, sir." "Thank you." The veteran simply nodded and walked away, slow, steady, and silent. A shadow. But a hero, the end. Hero, the end.